So, Ray, fourth and final section, and this is where we look at with businesses and successful business owners when they look at insights. And what we mean by that, and from a coaching perspective, is an insight, a breakthrough. How you constantly learn and develop yourself is you create a breakthrough, a break in the know.
Yeah.
So there's lots of business owners, as you've been discussing with me offline, who you meet, who they're into the habit of just running the business, forgetting about the why. And if you can create that break in what they already know and allow for the creativity of a breakthrough of new possibilities, like what you align with, that is where you can create those real insights. So you were discussing previously about disruptive technology. So how does that pan out with you with disruptive technologies, with those insights?
I think going back to what I was saying earlier on about technology and how unfortunate it is that people don't take advantage of it. Technology has changed or will change the way that people think and act and behave. And that in itself is a disruptive element to it. And that to me is good. And that's the thing that causes people to challenge why they do things today and how they could better both themselves and the organisation by thinking about doing it a different way. And I guess challenge is the word that I'd use all the time about our people here and about us as an organisation. We do like to take people where no man has gone before, breach those boundaries, Star Trek-wise, yeah, absolutely, and be disruptive, challenge it. You know, say to them, why are you doing this? Why have you got to carry on doing things the way you do? And that I think is a great asset for both the business and also for individuals. We create that environment within the business by a number of ways. We have technology competitions within the organisation. So we have a bit like I was talking earlier on about the extra mile. Somebody doing things extraordinarily, stepping forward and taking ownership and responsibility. We also have come up with some ideas. How do you think we should do things differently? Again, go back to the school that I was at the other day. That's exactly what they were doing. Be creative. Forget about what you do today. Go away and do something that's completely different and creative, and come back again and see what that delivers. And that, I think, is if you're working in a culture that's driven by the traditional command and control environment within a business, then you've lost that ability to get people to think for themselves and act to themselves and ask for help when they need to. And make sure you've got that opportunity for them to be able to do that for the betterment of everyone.
Absolutely, and I was looking at this model of the judgmental model, where there's always going to be controlling and comparing and judging, and people are going to shut down immediately. The brain shuts down, and it's bringing in those aspirations rather than expectations. You're expected to do this, and then it just becomes a right and wrong and judgmental, and you should do this, and pointing fingers. And if you can bring in that aspiring, which I think you mentioned the word aspire earlier, but Ray, seriously, I mean, I've done this for a couple of years, and it's a difficult thing to do with people, to bring in that whole environment where people feel that they can be open to do that. How do you create that?
It's one of the biggest challenges, purely for us as a business, but generally for any business. Here we are introducing change into a business. We are putting in new IT systems, solutions to different companies, and we're introducing change because senior management or whoever have decided, and then people further down the pecking order have to make sure that these things work. And change brings fear. Change brings to anybody that you might be talking to. If I've got to change the way I do things because somebody's telling me this is a better way for you to do it, I lose sight of how I used to do them, which I used to be good at, and now I'm going to be proved not to be good at, because I won't be as good at the new system as I will the old system, whatever. And therefore there's that fear that I'm going to be made to look stupid, or I'm going to be put out of a job, or anything else like that. And that is why, if you can move people away from being in an environment that's very regimented and command and control, but one that's more disruptive, where these disruptions hit you far more often, and your business is built around that disruption. It goes back to right at the very beginning of our conversation. That whole agility thing starts to come into play. You know, it means you can bend with things as you go along. And you won't then welcome change, because change itself creates an opportunity for you to do things better.
Yeah. And the biggest thing for me from a coaching perspective is if you allow that type of environment, that trust that you're talking about, in engendering that trust by your role modelling that you're providing over the last 5 decades, that brings about the authenticity of being able to be real, like you say, having that open, disruptive environment where people know that they can fail safely and continue to do that. And the fulfillment, because part of my coaching is just bringing the progress, but the fulfillment it brings when you can truly be authentic and say, actually, I'm scared, or I don't know what to do, which most people and most companies, you know, it's just about bringing that level, which people always think they should know everything, and they, you know, should be able to have no doubts or fears, whatever. But that authenticity just is huge for fulfillment, because then you can try and fail and risk, and
you don't mind being made to look stupid, because actually you're not being made to look stupid in your own mind. You know, because you've stepped out there, you've tried something, you've looked at something. It may have worked, it may not have worked, but that's the story. That's the game.
And it's performance.
And performance isn't anymore about necessarily results. Performance is about how you cope with the environment in which you are. And it's very easy. You can sit down with somebody and give them targets that they need to achieve on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, and measure them like that, if at your peril, if that's all you're going to do.
Because you've got to link back to your why and the reason that you do it,
And them. You've got to link back to them and what drives them and what motivates them. And we're all driven and motivated basically by the same basic human instincts. It's just that some of them are a bit stronger in some people than they are in other, and you've got to tease that out of them. You've got to get them to recognise that.
Exactly. And that being progress, we all just want to know we're progressing, right?
Absolutely.
That's the main
You want to go home, you want to drive home on a Friday afternoon and look back on the week and think about how good that was or how bad that was. So you have to know why people would want to do that. Any one particular person that you have in the organisation, you've got to be able to look at them and say, what can I do to make sure that when you go home at Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock and driving home, that you feel good about yourself because you have met some sort of achievement or some sort of target, or you've done something that you really feel good about.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful way to end it. So thank you, Ray, very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And
enjoyed it. Thank you for yours and your insight.
You're very welcome. Thank you.